Welcome everybody, this is Alan with Daily Armor of God. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you're all doing well. This is the Old Testament in 88 days and we're on day 11. Today we'll be finishing up Exodus and starting a little bit of Leviticus. So Exodus 37 is where we're starting today. And let's go ahead and get started with verse 1. And Bezaleel made the ark of shittim wood. 2 cubits and a half was the length of it, and 1 cubit and a half the breadth of it, and 1 cubit and a half the height of it. And he overlaid it with pure gold within and without, and made a crown of gold to it round about. And he cast for it 4 rings of gold to be set by the 4 corners of it, even 2 rings upon the one side of it, and 2 rings upon the other side of it. And he made staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them with gold. And he put the staves into the rings by the sides of the ark to bear the ark. And he made the mercy seat of pure gold. 2 cubits and a half was the length thereof, and 1 cubit and a half the breadth thereof. And he made 2 cherubims of gold, beaten out of one piece made he them, on the 2 ends of the mercy seat. 1 cherubim on the end on this side, and another cherub on the other end on that side. Out of the mercy seat made he the cherubims on the 2 ends thereof. And the cherubim spread out their wings on high, and covered with their wings over the mercy seat, with their faces one to another, even to the mercy seat ward were the faces of the cherubims. And he made the table of shittim wood. 2 cubits was the length thereof, and 1 cubit the breadth thereof, and 1 cubit and a half the height thereof. And he overlaid it with pure gold, and made thereunto a crown of gold round about. Also he made thereunto a border of an handbreadth round about, and he made a crown of gold for the border thereof round about. And he cast for it 4 rings of gold, and put the rings upon the 4 corners that were in the 4 feet thereof. Over against the border were the rings, the places for the staves to bear the table. And he made the staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them with gold to bear the table. And he made the vessels which were upon the table, his dishes and his spoons and his bowls and his covers to cover withal of pure gold. And he made the candlestick of pure gold. Of beaten work made he the candlestick. His shaft and his branch, his bowls, his knops, and his flowers were of the same. And 6 branches going out to the sides thereof, 3 branches of the candlestick out of the one side thereof, and 3 branches of the candlestick out of the other side thereof. 3 bowls made after the fashion of almonds, in 1 branch a knop and a flower, and 3 bowls made like almonds, and another branch a knop and a flower, so throughout the 6 branches going out of the candlestick. And in the candlestick were 4 bowls made like almonds, his knops and his flowers, and a knop under 2 branches of the same, and a knop under the 2 branches of the same, and a knop under the 2 branches of the same, according to the 6 branches going out of it. Their knops and their branches were of the same. All of it was 1 beaten work of pure gold. And he made his 7 lamps and his snuffers and his snuff dishes of pure gold. Of a talent of pure gold made he it, and all the vessels thereof. And he made the incense altar of shittim wood. The length of it was 1 cubit, and the breadth of it 1 cubit. It was 4 square, and 2 cubits was the height of it. The horns thereof were of the same. And he overlaid it with pure gold, both the top of it and the sides thereof round about, and the horns of it. Also he made unto it a crown of gold round about. He made 2 rings of gold for it under the crown thereof, and by the 2 corners of it, on the 2 sides thereof, to be places for the staves to bear it withal. And he made the staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them with gold. And he made the holy anointing oil and the pure incense of sweet spices, according to the work of the apothecary. Exodus 38. And he made the altar of burnt offering of shittim wood. 5 cubits was the length thereof, and 5 cubits the breadth thereof. It was 4 square, and 3 cubits the height thereof. And he made the horns thereof on the 4 corners of it. The horns thereof were of the same, and he overlaid it with brass. And he made all the vessels of the altar, the pots, and the shovels, and the basins, and the flesh hooks, and the fire pans, and the vessels thereof made he of brass. And he made for the altar a brazen gate of network under the compass thereof beneath unto the midst of it. And he cast 4 rings for the 4 ends of the grate of brass, to be places for the staves. And made the staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them with brass. And he put the staffs into the rings on the sides of the altar to bear it withal. He made the altar hollow with boards. He made the laver of brass, and the foot of it brass, of the looking glass of the women assembly, which assembled at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And he made the court on the south side, southward. The hangings of the court were of fine twined linen, 100 cubits. Their pillars were 20, and their brass and sockets 20. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets were of silver. And for the north side, the hangings were 100 cubits. Their pillars were 20, and their sockets of brass 20. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. And for the west side were hangings of 50 cubits. Their pillars 10, and their sockets 10. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. And for the east side eastward 50 cubits. The hangings of the one side of the gate were 15 cubits, their pillars 3 and their sockets 3. And for the other side of the court gate on this hand and that hand were hangings of 15 cubits, their pillars 3 and their sockets 3. All the hangings of the court round about were of fine twined linen. The sockets for the 4 pillars were of brass, the hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver, and the overlaying of their chapiters of silver. And all the pillars of the court were filleted with silver. And the hanging for the gate of the court was needlework of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen. And 20 cubits was the length, and the height and the breadth was 5 cubits, answerable to the hangings of the court. And their pillars were 4, and their sockets of brass 4, and their hooks of silver, and their overlaying of the chapiters and their fillets of silver. And all the pins of the tabernacle and of the court round about were of brass. This is the sum of the tabernacle, even of the tabernacle of testimony, as it was counted according to the commandment of Moses for the service of the Levites, by the hand of Ithamar, son to Aaron the priest, and Bezaleel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, made all that Yahweh commanded Moses. And with him was Aholiab, the son of Asiamach, of the tribe of Dan, an engraver and a cunning workman, an embroiderer in blue and purple and scarlet and fine linen. All the gold that was occupied for the work and all the work of the holy place, even the gold of the offering, was 29 talents and 730 shekels after the shekel of the sanctuary. And the silver of them that were numbered of the congregation was 100 talents, and 1,715 shekels after the shekel of the sanctuary. A bekah for every man, that is, half a shekel after the shekel of the sanctuary, for every one that went to be numbered, from 20 years up and old and upward, for 600,000 and 3,550 men. And of the 100 talents of silver were cast the sockets of the sanctuary and the sockets of the veil, 100 sockets of the 100 talents, a talent for a socket. And of the 1,775 shekels he made hooks for the pillars, and overlaid their chapiters and filleted them. And the brass of the offering was 70 talents and the 2,400 shekels. And therewith he made the sockets to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and the brass and altar, and the brass and gate for it, and all the vessels of the altar. And the sockets of the court round about, and the sockets of the court gate, and all the pins of the tabernacle, and all the pins of the court round about. Man, there's so much detail in all these things that they're building. In the whole tabernacle, there's so many different things. It makes you wonder, like, they were wandering around for 40 years in the desert. They would have to be moving all that stuff. Oh man, they would have to either disassemble it or have people somehow lug it around, or like make new wagons or something and lug everything piece by piece around. Just wow, just so much work that would be, just moving everything, not including, you know, people's tents and all their stuff, all their livestock, all their family, all their things, plus, you know, everything that goes into the tabernacle and all, like, the clothes and everything that's needed for that. Man, it would take so long to travel with all that stuff. Disassemble it and reassemble it, disassemble it, reassemble it. Anyway, Exodus 39. And of the blue and purple and scarlet they made clothes of service, to do service in the holy place, and made the holy garments for Aaron, as Yahweh commanded Moses. And he made the ephod of gold, blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen. And they did beat the gold into thin plates, and cut it into wires to work in the blue, and in the purple, and the scarlet, and in the fine linen with cunning work. And they made shoulder pieces for it, to couple it together. By the two edges was it coupled together. And the curious girdle of his ephod that was upon it was the same according to the work thereof, of blue, gold, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen, as Yahweh commanded Moses. They wrought onyx stones enclosed in ouches of gold, graven as signets are graven, with the names of the children of Israel. And he put them on the shoulder of the ephod, that they should be stones for a memorial to the children of Israel, as Yahweh commanded Moses. And he made the breastplate of cunning work, like the work of the ephod, of gold, blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen. It was foursquare. They made the breastplate double. A span was the length thereof, and a span the breadth thereof, being doubled. And they set in it 4 rows of stones. The first row was a sardis, a topaz, a carbuncle. This was the first row. In the second row, an emerald, a sapphire, and a diamond. Third row, a ligure, an agate, and an amethyst. The fourth row, a beryl, an onyx, and a jasper. And they were enclosed in ouches of gold in their enclosings. The stones were according to the names of the children of Israel, 12, according to their names, like the engraving of a signet, every one with his name according to the 12 tribes. They made upon the breastplate chains at the end, of wreathen work of pure gold. They made 2 ouches of gold and 2 gold rings, and put the 2 rings in the 2 ends of the breastplate. And they put the 2 wreathen chains of gold in the 2 rings on the end of the breastplate. In the 2 ends of the 2 wreathen chains they fastened in the 2 ouches, and put them on the shoulder pieces of the ephod before it. And they made 2 rings of gold, and put them on the 2 ends of the breastplate upon the border of it, which was on the side of the ephod inward. And they made 2 other golden rings, and put them on the 2 sides of the ephod underneath, toward the forepart of it, over against the other coupling thereof, above the curious girdle of the ephod. And they did bind the breastplate by his rings unto the rings of the ephod with a lace of blue, that it might be above the curious girdle of the ephod, and that the breastplate might not be loosed from the ephod, as Yahweh commanded Moses. And he made the robe of the ephod of woven work, all of blue. And there was a hole in the midst of the robe, as the hole of a habergeon, with a band round about the hole, that it should not rend. And they made upon the hems of the robe pomegranates of blue, and purple, and scarlet, and twined linen. And they made bells of pure gold, and put the bells between the pomegranates upon the hem of the robe, round about between the pomegranates. A bell and a pomegranate, round about the hem of the robe to minister in, as Yahweh commanded Moses. And they made coats of fine linen of woven work for Aaron and for his sons, and a mitre of fine linen, and goodly bonnets of fine linen, and linen breeches of fine twined linen, and a girdle of fine twined linen, and blue and purple and scarlet of needlework, as Yahweh commanded Moses. And they made the plate of the holy crown of pure gold, and wrote upon it a writing like to the engravings of a signet, Holiness to Yahweh. And they tied unto the lace of blue to fasten it on high upon the mitre, as Yahweh commanded Moses. Thus was all the work of the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation finished, and the children of Israel did according to all that Yahweh commanded Moses. So did they. They brought the tabernacle unto Moses, the tent and all his furniture, his taches, his boards, his bars, and his pillars and his sockets, and the covering of ram's skin dyed red, and the covering of badger's skin, and the veil of the covering, the ark of the testimony and the staves thereof, and the mercy seat, the table and all the vessels thereof, and the shewbread, a pure candlestick with the lamps thereof, even with the lamps to be set in order, and all the vessels whereof, and the oil for light, and the golden altar, and the anointing oil, and their sweet incense, and the hanging for the tabernacle door, the brazen altar and his gate of brass, his staves and all his vessels, the laver and his foot, the hangings of the court, his pillars and his sockets, and the hanging of the court gate, his cords, his pins, and all the vessels of the service of the tabernacle for the tent of the congregation, the clothes of service to do service in the holy place, and the holy garments for Aaron, the priest, and his sons' garments to minister in the priest's office, according to all that Yahweh commanded Moses. So the children of Israel made all the work. And Moses did look upon all the work, and behold, they had done it as Yahweh had commanded. Even so had they done it, and Moses blessed them. Exodus 40. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, On the first day of the first month shalt thou set up the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation. And thou shalt put therein the ark of the testimony, and cover the ark with the veil. And thou shalt bring in the table, and set in order the things that are to be set order upon it, and shalt bring in the candlestick, and light the lamps thereof. Thou shalt set the altar of gold for incense before the ark of the testimony, and put the hanging of the door to the tabernacle. Thou shalt set the altar of the burnt offering before the door of the tabernacle, the tent of the congregation. Thou shalt set the laver between the tent of the congregation and the altar, and shalt put water therein. And thou shalt set up the court round about, and hang up the hanging at the court gate. And thou shalt take the anointing oil, and anoint the tabernacle, and all that is therein, and shalt hallow it, and all the vessels thereof, and it shall be holy. And thou shalt anoint the altar of the burnt offering, and all his vessels, and sanctify the altar, and it shall be an altar most holy. And thou shalt anoint the laver in his foot, and sanctify it. And thou shalt bring Aaron and his sons unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and wash them with water. And thou shalt put upon Aaron the holy garments, and anoint him, and sanctify him, that he may minister to me in the priest's office. And thou shalt bring his sons, and clothe them with coats, and thou shalt anoint them as thou didst anoint their father, that they may minister unto me in the priest's office, for their anointing shall surely be an everlasting priesthood throughout their generations. Thus did Moses according to all that Yahweh commanded him, so did he. And it came to pass in the first month, in the second year, on the first day of the month, that the tabernacle was reared up. And Moses reared up the tabernacle, and fastened his sockets, and set up the boards thereof, and put in the bars thereof, and reared up his pillars. And he spread abroad the tent over the tabernacle, and put the covering of the tent above it, upon it, and as Yahweh commanded Moses. And he took and put the testimony into the ark, and set the staves on the ark, and put the mercy seat above upon the ark. And he brought the ark into the tabernacle, and set up the veil of the covering, and covered the ark of the testimony, as Yahweh commanded Moses. And he put the table in the tent of the congregation upon the side of the tabernacle northward, without the veil. And he set the bread in order upon it before Yahweh, as Yahweh commanded Moses. And he put the candlestick in the tent of the congregation over against the table, on the side of the tabernacle southward. And he lighted the lamps before Yahweh, as Yahweh commanded Moses. And he put the golden altar in the tent of the congregation before the veil. And he burnt sweet incense thereon, as Yahweh commanded Moses. And he set up the hanging at the door of the tabernacle. And he put the altar of burnt offering by the door of the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation, and offered upon it the burnt offering and the meat offering, as Yahweh commanded Moses. And he set the laver between the tent of the congregation and the altar, and put water there to wash withal. And Moses and Aaron and his sons washed their hands and their feet thereat. And they went into the tent of the congregation. When they came near unto the altar, they washed, as Yahweh commanded Moses. And he reared up the court round about the tabernacle and the altar, and set up the hanging of the court gate. So Moses finished the work. Then a cloud covered the tent of the congregation, and the glory of Yahweh filled the tabernacle. And Moses was not able to enter into the tent of the congregation, because the cloud abode thereon, and the glory of Yahweh filled the tabernacle. And when the cloud was taken up from over the tabernacle, the children of Israel went onward in all their journeys. But if the cloud were not taken up, then they journeyed not till the day that it was taken up. For the cloud of Yahweh was upon the tabernacle by day, and fire was on it by night, in the sight of all the house of Israel throughout all their journeyings. Okay. Leviticus now, chapter 1, verse 1. And Yahweh called unto Moses, and spake unto him out of the tabernacle of the congregation, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, If any man of you bring an offering unto Yahweh, you shall bring your offering of the cattle, even of the herd and of the flock. If his offering be a burnt sacrifice of the herd, let him offer a male without blemish. He shall offer it of his own voluntary will at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation before Yahweh. And he shall put his hand upon the head of the burnt offering, and it shall be accepted for him to make atonement for him. He shall kill the bullock before Yahweh, and the priests, Aaron's sons, shall bring the blood and sprinkle the blood round about the altar that is by the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And he shall flay the burnt offering and cut it into pieces. And the sons of Aaron the priest shall put fire upon the altar and lay wood in order upon the fire. And the priest Aaron's son shall lay the parts, the head and the fat, in order upon the wood that is on the fire, which is upon the altar. I just had a thought. So Aaron and his sons, they all had all this gold and jewelry and very fancy hard work put into these clothes and robes and all this stuff, right? To look really, really, really nice. And they're wearing all this stuff. So then, if they're doing sacrifices every day, obviously some blood is going to get on them and on their clothes. So it makes me wonder, they made it so fancy, but they're going to, get dirty really fast. Makes me wonder, did they have backup clothes? Did they, for everybody, backup clothes? Did they have some kind of washing system to get the blood out? I mean, I know it doesn't say it in the Bible. It just makes you wonder, though, since they're around sacrifices all day. Some blood will surely get on them, It's interesting to think about. But his inwards and his legs shall he wash in water. And the priest shall burn all on the altar to be burnt sacrifice, an offering made by fire of a sweet savor unto Yahweh. And his offering be of the flocks, namely the sheep, or of the goats, for a burnt sacrifice. And he shall bring it a male without blemish. And he shall kill it on the side of the altar northward before Yahweh. And the priest Aaron's son shall sprinkle his blood round about upon the altar. He shall cut it into his pieces with his head and his fat, and the priest shall lay them in order on the wood that is on the fire, which is upon the altar. But he shall wash the inwards and the legs with water, and the priest shall bring it all, and burn it upon the altar. It is a burnt sacrifice, an offering made by fire of a sweet savor unto Yahweh. The burnt sacrifice for his offering to Yahweh be of fowls, then he shall bring his offering of turtle doves, or of young pigeons. And the priest shall bring it unto the altar, and wring off his head, and burn it on the altar, and the blood thereof shall be wrung out at the side of the altar. He shall pluck away his crop with his feathers, and cast it beside the altar on the east part by the place of the ashes. And he shall cleave it with the wings thereof, but shall not divide it asunder. And the priest shall burn it upon the altar, upon the wood that is upon the fire. It is a burnt sacrifice, an offering made by fire of a sweet savor unto Yahweh. Leviticus 2. And when any will offer a meat offering unto Yahweh, his offering shall be of fine flour, and he shall pour oil upon it, and put frankincense thereon. And he shall bring it to Aaron's sons the priests, and he shall take thereout his handful of the flour thereof, and the oil thereof, with all the frankincense thereof. And the priest shall burn the memorial of it upon the altar, to be an offering made by fire of a sweet savor unto Yahweh. And the remnant of the meat offering shall be Aaron's and his sons. It is a thing most holy of the offerings of Yahweh made by fire. And if thou bring an oblation of a meat offering, bacon in the oven, it shall be unleavened cakes of fine flour mingled with oil, or unleavened wafers anointed with oil. And if thy oblation be a meat offering, bacon in a pan, it shall be of fine flour unleavened mingled with oil. Thou shalt part it in pieces and pour oil thereon. It is a meat offering. If thy oblation be a meat offering, bacon with the frying pan, it shall be made of fine flour with oil. And thou shalt bring the meat offering that is made with these unto the Yahweh, and when it is presented unto the priest, he shall bring it unto the altar. And the priest shall take from the meat offering a memorial thereof, and shall burn it upon the altar. It is an offering made by fire of a sweet savor unto Yahweh. And that which is left of the meat offering shall be Aaron's and his son. It is a thing most holy of the offerings of Yahweh made by fire. No meat offering which ye shall bring unto Yahweh shall be made with leaven, for ye shall burn no leaven nor any honey in any offering of Yahweh made by fire. For as for the oblation of thy first fruits, ye shall offer them unto Yahweh, but they shall not be burnt on the altar for a sweet savor. And every oblation of thy meat offering shalt thou season with salt, neither shalt thou suffer the salt of the covenant of thy Elohim to be lacking from thy meat. With all thine offerings thou shalt offer salt. And if thou offer a meat offering of thy first fruits unto Yahweh, thou shalt offer for the meat offering of thy first fruits green ears of corn dried by the fire, even corn beaten out of full ears. And thou shalt put oil upon it, and lay frankincense thereon. It is a meat offering. The priest shall burn the memorial of it, part of the beaten corn thereof, and part of the oil thereof, with all the frankincense thereof. It is an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. Leviticus 3. And if his oblation be a sacrifice of peace offering, if he offer it of the herd, whether it be male or female, he shall offer it without blemish before Yahweh. And he shall lay his hand upon the head of his offering, laid at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And Aaron's sons, the priest, shall sprinkle the blood upon the altar round about. You know what else? I was saying the other day how we are so blessed that we don't have to go through the Old Testament laws in this day and age. We're not under the law, but under grace. But another thing to point out is when you did the sacrifice, when you brought the sacrifice, you weren't just like, okay, here you go, priest. There's my sacrifice. You kill it and we'll be good. No. You, the sinner, had to put your hand on the animal and kill it yourself with your bare hands. I'm assuming they slit the throat or cut off the head, depending on what it was, but you had to do it. You had to butcher that innocent animal for your own sins. So I just think that's another thing to point out. How horrible it must have been to do that. To kill it yourself. Anyway, back to this. And he shall offer the sacrifice of the peace offering, an offering made by fire unto Yahweh, the fat that covereth the inwards, and all the fat that is upon the inwards, and the 2 kidneys and the fat that is on them, which is by their flanks, and the caul above the liver, with the kidneys it shall take away. And Aaron's son shall burn it on the altar upon the burnt sacrifice, which is upon the wood that is on the fire. It is an offering made by fire of a sweet savor unto Yahweh. And if his offering for a sacrifice of peace offering unto Yahweh be of the flock, male or female, he shall offer it without blemish. If he offer a lamb for his offering, then shall he offer it before Yahweh. Okay, one more point and then I'll let this go. But another thing is, not only do you have to bring in your animal and kill it yourself, get blood all over you and everything like that, but you also have to have the livestock to do it, and livestock back then was worth money. So killing an animal, and what it was, is going to cost you money as well. Because, I mean, you have to kill the one that's the most beautiful looking without blemish too. And those are the ones that are like most prized too, like if you're going to sell or trade that animal. So it's costing you in multiple ways. It's costing you. So it's another thing. Like if that happened today, let's say like a goat, or I don't know how much goats cost, but they're probably really expensive. Or a bullock. Those are probably super expensive too. So just imagine what it'd be like back then. And you'd have to do that every time you sinned. Every time. So you only had forgiveness of sins up to that point where you slaughtered the animal. No future sins were covered. So if you sinned again, any sin, you had to get another animal that's going to cost you money and kill it. So kill it yourself. Just another point that it's so interesting. So interesting to actually think about that in great detail, because just can't get over the fact how blessed we are today to be under grace and not under the law, under the curse. and that we don't have to sacrifice animals to God, that Christ already died for us. He was the perfect sacrifice, the one sacrifice, the one-time sacrifice for all, for past, present, and future sins as well. So amen to that. Thank you, Lord Yeshua and Yahweh. Okay, he shall offer the sacrifice of the peace offering, an offering made by fire unto Yahweh, the fat thereof and the whole rump, and it shall he take off hard by the backbone, and the fat that covereth the inwards, and all the fat that is upon the inwards, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, which is by the flanks, and the caul above the liver, with the kidneys it shall he take away. The priest shall burn it upon the altar. It is the food of the offering made by fire unto Yahweh. And if his offering be a goat, then shall he offer it before Yahweh. He shall lay his hand upon the head of it, and kill it before the tabernacle of the congregation. The sons of Aaron shall sprinkle the blood thereof upon the altar round about. He shall offer thereof his offering, even an offering made by fire unto Yahweh, the fat that covereth the inwards, and all the fat that is upon the inwards, the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, which is by the flanks, and the caul above the liver. With the kidneys it shall he take away. And the priest shall burn them upon the altar. It is the food of the offering made by fire for a sweet savor. All of the fat is Yahweh's. And it shall be a perpetual statute for your generations throughout all your dwellings, that he eat neither fat nor blood. That is so important. Even, here's something that didn't change from the Old Testament to the New Testament. Even in the New Testament, it said, do not eat fat or blood. So, do not drink blood, do not, mix blood with stuff and eat it. So, this is something that's, still today, because it's in the New Testament as well. We shouldn't eat, I don't know about fat. I mean, I'm guessing that refers to, like, just pure fat. Like, you get a steak and there's that huge piece of fat, or a chicken, there's a huge piece of fat. I'm guessing it refers to that. But definitely no blood. And there's lots of different cultures that mix blood and make like a blood sausage, or mix blood and make like a blood pudding, or just some of this, or even like mix blood into like a soup. I've seen like different shows, food shows, where they go to different countries around the world, and they mix blood with stuff, and it's kind of disgusting. But no, we shouldn't be drinking, eating blood. So, Leviticus 4. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, If a soul shall sin through ignorance against any of the commandments of Yahweh concerning things which ought not to be done, and shall do against any of them, if the priest that is anointed to do sin according to the sin of the people, then let him bring for his sin, which he hath sinned, a young bullock without blemish unto Yahweh for a sin offering. And he shall bring the bullock unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation before Yahweh, and shall lay his hand upon the bullock's head, and kill the bullock before Yahweh. And the priest that is anointed shall take the bullock's blood, and bring it to the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall dip his finger in the blood, and sprinkle the blood 7 times before Yahweh, before the veil of the sanctuary. See how messy this stuff is? It sounds so messy and gross. Like you'd have to constantly be washing your hands and body, your face, everything. And the priest shall put some of the blood upon the horns of the altar of sweet incense before Yahweh, which is in the tabernacle of the congregation, and shall pour all the blood of the bullock at the bottom of the altar of the burnt offering, which is at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And he shall take off from it all the fat of the bullock for the sin offering, and the fat that covereth the inwards, and all the fat that is upon the inwards, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, which is by the flanks, and the caul above the liver, with the kidneys it shall he take away. It was taken off from the bullock of the sacrifice of peace offerings, and the priest shall burn them upon the altar of the burnt offering. And the skin of the bullock, and all his flesh, with his head and with his legs, and his inwards, and even and his dung, even the whole bullock shall he carry forth without the camp unto a clean place, where the ashes are poured out, and burn him upon the wood with fire. Where the ashes are poured out shall he be burnt. And if the whole congregation of Israel sin through ignorance, and the thing be hid from the eyes of the assembly, and they have done somewhat against any of the commandments of Yahweh concerning things which should not be done, and are guilty, when the sin which they have sinned against it is known, then the congregation shall offer a young bullock for the sin, and bring him before the tabernacle of the congregation. And the elders of the congregation shall lay their hands upon the head of the bullock before Yahweh, and the bullock shall be killed before Yahweh. And the priest that is anointed shall bring of the bullock's blood to the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall dip his finger in some of the blood and sprinkle it 7 times before Yahweh, even before the veil. And he shall put some of the blood upon the horns of the altar which is before Yahweh, that is in the tabernacle of the congregation, and shall pour out all the blood at the bottom of the altar of the burnt offering, which is at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. We basically read all this already. It's repeating. He shall take all his fat from him and burn it upon the altar, and he shall do with the bullock as he did with the bullock for a sin offering, so shall he do with this, and the priest shall make an atonement for them, and it shall be forgiven them. And he shall carry forth the bullock without the camp, and burn him as he burned the first bullock. It is a sin offering for the congregation. When a ruler hath sinned and done somewhat through ignorance against any of the commandments of Yahweh his Elohim concerning things which he should not be done, and is guilty, or if his sin wherein he hath sinned come to his knowledge, he shall bring his offering, a kid of the goats, male without blemish, and he shall lay his hand upon the head of the goat, and kill it in the place where they kill the burnt offering before Yahweh. It is a sin offering. The priest shall take the blood of the sin offering with his finger, and put it upon the horns of the altar of burnt offering. He shall pour out his blood at the bottom of the altar of burnt offering. He shall burn all his fat upon the altar as the fat of the sacrifice of peace offerings, and the priest shall make an atonement for him as concerning his sin, it shall be forgiven him. And if any one of the common people sin through ignorance, while he doeth somewhat against any of the commandments of Yahweh concerning things which ought not to be done, and be guilty, or if his sin which he hath sinned come to his knowledge, then he shall bring his offering, a kid of the goats, a female without blemish, for his sin which he hath sinned. And he shall lay his hand upon the head of the sin offering, and slay the sin offering in the place of the burnt offering. And the priest shall take of the blood thereof with his finger, and put it upon the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and shall pour out all the blood thereof at the bottom of the altar. And he shall take away all the fat thereof, as the fat is taken away from off the sacrifice of peace offerings, and the priest shall burn it upon the altar for a sweet savor unto Yahweh. And the priest shall make an atonement for him, and it shall be forgiven him. And if he bring a lamb for a sin offering, he shall bring it a female without blemish. And he shall lay his hand upon the head of the sin offering, and slay it for a sin offering in the place where they kill the burnt offering. It's definitely repeating many times. And the priest shall take the blood of the sin offering with his finger, and put on the horns of the altar burning, and shall pour out all the blood thereof at the bottom of the altar. And he shall take away all the fat thereof, as the fat of the lamb is taken away from the sacrifice of peace offerings. And the priest shall burn them upon the altar, according to the offerings made by fire unto Yahweh. And the priest shall make an atonement for his sin that he hath committed, and it shall be forgiven him. Leviticus 5. And if a soul and hear the voice of swearing, and is a witness whether he hath seen or known of it, and if he do not utter it, then he shall bear his iniquity. Or if a soul touch any unclean thing, whether it be a carcass of an unclean beast, or a carcass of unclean cattle, or a carcass of unclean creeping things, and if it be hidden from him, he also shall be unclean and guilty. Or if he touch the uncleanness of man, whatsoever uncleanness that it be, that a man shall be defiled withal, and it be hid from him, when he knoweth of it, he shall be guilty. Or if a soul swear, pronouncing with his lips to do evil or to do good, whatsoever it be that a man shall pronounce with an oath, and it be hid from him, when he knoweth of it, then he shall be guilty in one of these. And it shall be, when he shall be guilty in one of these things, that he shall confess that he hath sinned that thing. And he shall bring his trespass offering unto Yahweh for his sin which he hath sinned, a female from the flock, and a lamb or a kid of the goats for a sin offering, and the priest shall make an atonement for him concerning his sin. And if he be not able to bring a lamb, then he shall bring for his trespass which he hath committed 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons unto Yahweh, one for a sin offering and the other for a burnt offering. You shall bring them unto the priest, who shall offer that which is for the sin offering first, and wring off his head from his neck, but shall not divide it asunder. And he shall sprinkle the blood of the sin offering upon the side of the altar, and the rest of the blood shall be wrung out at the bottom of the altar. It is a sin offering. He shall offer the second for a burnt offering according to the manner, and the priest shall make an atonement for him for his sin which he hath sinned, and it shall be forgiven him. But if he be not able to bring 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, then he that sinned shall bring for his offering the 10th part of an ephah of fine flour for a sin offering. He shall put no oil upon it, neither shall he put any frankincense thereon, for it is a sin offering. He shall bring it to the priest, and the priest shall take his handful of it, even a memorial thereof, and burn it upon the altar, according to the offerings made by fire unto Yahweh. It is a sin offering. The priest shall make an atonement for him as touching his sin, that he hath sinned in one of these, and it shall be forgiven him, and the remnant shall be the priest's as a meat offering. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, If a soul commit a trespass and sin through ignorance in the holy things of Yahweh, then he shall bring for his trespass unto Yahweh a ram without blemish of the flocks, with thy estimation by shekels of silver, after the shekel of the sanctuary, for a trespass offering. And he shall make amends for the harm that he hath done in thy holy thing, and shall add the 5th part thereto, and give it unto the priest. The priest shall make an atonement for him with the ram of the trespass offering, and it shall be forgiven him. And if a soul sin and commit any of these things which are forbidden to be done by the commandments of Yahweh, though he wist it not, yet he is guilty, he shall bear his iniquity, and he shall bring a ram without blemish out of the flock, with thy estimation, for a trespass offering unto the priest, and the priest shall make an atonement for him concerning his ignorance, wherein he erred and wist it not, and it shall be forgiven him. It is a trespass offering, for he hath certainly trespassed against Yahweh. Okay. That's going to be it for today. Man, there's lots of repeating of these laws and burnt offerings. Yeah, obviously none of this stuff applies to us today, but we can glean some things, we can learn some things from this still, despite it not applying to us in this day and age. It just shows how difficult it was to keep the law, how difficult that everybody failed at keeping the law, even the priests. The early priests, and especially the later priests when Jesus Christ came around, it was born. It was everybody had fallen into sin and evil. So it's so hard. They call it a curse in the New Testament. They call the Old Testament the law a curse, because of you're under the law, you are cursed essentially. And no man could keep the law except for Christ Jesus, and he has given us grace through faith. Amen to that. Thanks, guys, for watching, listening. I hope you have a great evening, morning, noon, wherever you're at. And as always, TTFN, ta-ta for now. Take care. God bless. Remember to put God first in everything you do. Have faith in him, have trust in him, and wait upon him, and you'll never be sorry. We'll see you tomorrow with more Leviticus, God willingly. Thanks again. See you later.